Well, good morning, and let me welcome you to the University of Georgia. My name is Sam Pardue, and I have the privilege of being the Dean and Director of the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. And today, I hope that we'll come away with a different perspective and we talk about issues that are important not only to those of us in Georgia, but globally as we discuss global food security and the role that perhaps the state of Georgia and the college can play. There are really three factors that are going to be driving our discussion: population growth and the subsequent demand for food and access to water. Those three elements will drive much of our future discussion. When we have conversations in the college, this topic comes up frequently. The things that we do matters because that most estimates project that by 2050 we'll have over 9 billion people on this planet. When I was born, there were 3 billion people on this planet. Things have changed dramatically, and we need more food. In fact, we'll need 50% more food by 2030. 2030, ladies and gentlemen, is not far off, and it is a task that we take very seriously. Many of you have probably seen similar graphs that look at human population, and I will tell you that for nearly 800 years, human population did not grow on this planet significantly. But if you look and see what's happened in the last 150 years, that growth curve has gone almost exponential. And yes, we've eradicated a lot of disease and we've provided new technology to provide more food, but the human population over the last 150 years has expanded tremendously. Many times we talk about the dire circumstances that exist in the world, and frequently that we don't celebrate many of the great achievements that have occurred. In the early 1970s, 1/3 of the humans on this planet were undernourished. We have cut that by 2/3, and today only about 11%. Now that's far too many. But we ought to take a moment and recognize the great achievement that has occurred in the last 50 years, that we've been able to reduce hunger and malnutrition on this planet by a significant degree. That is not to say that much is yet to be done. This is an article from a British publication, The Guardian, that recently said that ag biotech can help create the next green revolution. Now, many of you are familiar with Norman Borlaug and his work. Some of you may not be as familiar with Dr. Glenn Burton, who was at UGA Tifton and developed different varieties of pearl millet that, along with the work of Borlaug and others, helped save literally more than 1 billion people. And I'm convinced that ag biotech is the key to our ability to be able to feed coming generations. We're fortunate we live in a world, in a country that has abundance. And if you look in North America, the red line are the calories per person per day that we're able to generate. The green lines are the grams of protein per capita per day. And you can see from that we have a tremendous ability, particularly here in North America, to produce tremendous amounts of food. Now, the average American eats about 100 grams of protein a day. The average American also consumes somewhere around 3,600 calories, which is far more than what we did a generation ago. And I'll talk a little bit about some challenges that we have with the flip side of being malnourished, and that of obesity. One of the challenges I think that we need to focus on is the potential growth in Sub-Sahara Africa. And this is a projection of population that will occur in that continent. One of the things to be aware of is that we're projecting by 2050 the population of Sub-Saharan Africa will exceed that of China. It will exceed that of India. And what does that hold for us in the future and the impact that that might have? By the year 2100, 5 of the top 10 most populous nations in the world will be in Africa. And if we're going to solve issues around hunger and food security, we cannot ignore what will happen over the next 70 years particularly in Sub-Sahara Africa. And here's the challenge. We saw those trend lines in North America that were going up for the ability to produce calories and protein. But as population expands dramatically in Sub-Saharan Africa, the availability of calories and protein are projected to actually decline. So there is a very real possibility we can see widespread famine in Sub-Saharan Africa if we don't begin today to develop technologies that are going to address that growing population in particular. I mentioned to you that the average American consumes 3,600 calories, significantly above what we used to, say, in the early 60s. And here is a graph that looks at the impact of obesity on healthcare. And you can see in the U.S. that about 14% of our medical expenses are associated with treating diseases that are related to obesity. And so while we're concerned certainly about malnutrition in the sense that not enough calories or protein, we also have issues on the other side that we'll have to face. I always close my presentations with this little slide. Every time you're fed, I hope that you'll thank someone who wears Georgia red. We probably need to trademark that, don't we? I can see t-shirts. So thank you all for being here. It's an important day, one that I hope we'll come away with some action plans.